Welcome to Fantasy Sports Daily, powered by FantasyGuru.com. Monday through Friday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 9 a.m. Pacific. Ray Flowers breaks it all down for you from a fantasy sports perspective. Hey there, everyone. Ray Flowers of FantasyGuru.com. Welcome to Fantasy Sports Daily, powered by FG. Thanks for joining us today. The free show, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday here, about 12 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. We spend about an hour each day talking fantasy sports. On Mondays, it's me doing baseball solo all show long, 60 minutes of baseball talk on Mondays. The rest of the week, we mix and match. And usually we mix and match baseball, football, and some basketball. Today is a Tuesday, so we will talk some football on the show. And here I'll throw up on the screen what we're doing today. Lots of baseball talk in the first half hour of the show. Second half hour of the show in about 30 minutes, we'll talk some football with Armando and Marsal. We'll talk over the new backfield of the Texans after the signing of Nick Chubb. We'll look at what's going on with handcuffs. What do you do with Derrick Henry? Do you take Keaton Mitchell? Do you bother? We'll ask Armando a little bit more about the handcuffing situation. We'll talk about James Cook and his never-ending saga. We'll look at some of the wideouts like Chris Godwin and T. Higgins. Jatavian Sanders is a tight end that, maybe we should be talking a little bit more about. We'll see what Armando thinks. We'll talk a little bit about our mock draft in the draft guide over at fantasyguru.com. For those of you that aren't aware, we do have a draft guide available, and it's up right now. So check it out over at fantasyguru.com. Click that subscribe tab in the top right corner of the page. Get signed up with the football product. You can sign up for the seasonal football, the DFS football, or the betting football. All three of them are available. You can go all in right now if you want to get the whole package, every article, every ranking set, every Discord room, every video, every live stream. You can go all in with us right now over at fantasyguru.com. You can also just get one of the packages, or if you want to get a couple of them, you can do that too. You can always send a note to support at fantasyguru.com, support at fantasyguru.com. What are we going to talk about before then? Before then, we're talking baseball. The number one hitting prospect we haven't seen, Roman Anthony, made his debut. How'd it go? We'll talk a little bit about Nick Kurtz, Ronald, Acuna, Bryan, Reynolds, and then we'll talk about pitching, and got a lot to talk about. So we'll talk about bullpens. We'll talk about returning guys from injury. We'll talk about guys going down with injury. We'll talk about uncertainty surrounding injury. A lot of injury on the hill here coming up. So let's get to that. Let me change the size here. If you're wondering what I'm talking about changing the size, I always say this every day. I think everyone knows by now, but if you don't, there's a lot of ways to consume the show. Type in Fantasy Sports Daily to wherever you listen to podcasts. Fantasy Sports Daily, you can find us there. You can go to fantasyguru.com and click the Elite Plus tab at the top of the page. You do that, you can find the show catalog there. You can watch live or on demand at facebook.com/fantasyguruhq, Twitter X at FantasyGuru site, or on YouTube at youtube.com/@ElitePlusNetwork. Any of those three places, you can also leave questions and comments live as we're doing the show. So if that's something that interests you, and if it does, you can send a comment and we will see it and address it throughout the show. All right, let's dive in and talk some baseball here. Roman Anthony has been promoted to the big leagues. Why did that happen? Well, Wilyer Abreu went on the injured list with a left oblique strain. We know that obliques are generally 2 to 6 weeks. We don't ever really know for sure. A month is always the fair guess. 4 weeks is a guess for the oblique issue. Abreu has been in a terrible slump of late. He's hitting 200 the last month or whatever, but he plays great defense. He does hit right-handed pitching very well, and he's been very effective offensively since the start of last season. So the question becomes, with Abreu down, does Roman Anthony play every day? Yeah, of course he does. The question is, how often does Roman Anthony play once Abreu is back, and does Anthony stay up when Abreu is back? And this is a storyline that we've talked about an awful lot. And we try to figure this out and put it all together. And the truth of the matter is, it's very uncertain what this team is going to do. We've heard rumors about them potentially trading Jarren Duran. I don't understand that. They have control over him through arbitration process for a couple of years now. That's a rumor, okay? Doesn't make any sense to me. I don't know why you trade a 28-year-old leadoff hitter, but that's what they're considering, I guess. But he's going to play every day, at least for now. We'll have Roman Anthony in the outfield every day for now, and then Ceddanne Rafaela, who's a very good defensive player who's picked up his offensive game of late. So when Abreu comes back, remember, Gold Glove outfielder, Wilyer Abreu. He comes back, he goes to right field. Where does Roman Anthony go? Do they put him at first base? Do they finally move Devers from DH to first base and put Anthony at DH? I said this yesterday, which I thought was pretty apropos timing-wise, right? You might remember me yesterday morning saying, why don't they just call up Roman Anthony? What the hell's going on? 5 hours later, they listened and they called him up. And I said yesterday, just put him at first base. The Abraham Toro, Romy Gonzalez thing, come on, right? So they promoted Anthony. He'll play the outfield for now. In a couple of weeks, when Abreu returns, we don't know what's going to happen. It is possible. I had this question in Discord over at FG. It's certainly possible that if Anthony struggles offensively, that he gets sent back to the minors when Abreu's healthy. It's also possible that he's up to stay and that they look to put him at first base. Because again, Duran's your left fielder, your center fielder is Rafael, and your right fielder is Abreu. There's no place in the outfield for Roman Anthony given that construction of the team. And he's not a first baseman, but put him at first base because that's the weak spot. Because Devers is dealing with physical things. We keep hearing these reports from the team and everything like that. But the bottom line is, dude's producing. So leave him at the DH and let him hit. So the spot that Anthony plays is first base. And Gonzalez and Toro aren't going to hold him off long term. So we'll see. As far as how Anthony did yesterday, he didn't do anything yesterday. The highlight of his game yesterday was letting a ball roll under his glove all the way to the right field wall for a 2-base error, run scored on that. So rough first game, but of course he's 21 years old. He's a dynamic talent, and Roman Anthony hopefully is here to stay, but it's uncertain in 2025 if he is. Like so many young players, it probably comes down directly. How does he do? Let's call it the next 3 weeks. How does he do the next 3 weeks? Is he making hard contact? Is he avoiding the strikeout? Or is it the other side of things? Does he struggle as a rookie? Because if he does struggle, it'll be easy to demote him once Abreu's healthy. And again, the Jarren Duran thing, I guess they've decided they can't sign him to a long-term contract. It's just weird. If they trade him, they're going to get a big return, and maybe that's the plan. I don't know. We'll see. Going to the A's youngster, their Roman Anthony, if you will, Nick Kurtz, who was on the injured list with the hip issue. He's back. And this is actually a little quicker than some people theorized it would be. Kurtz returns to, the lineup on a daily basis for the Athletics. Remember, this kid is 22 years old. He blasted through the minor leagues. He's destroying minor league pitching. He's now played 29 games at the big league level. Got a fine 10% walk rate. His 34% K rate is horrendous. It's absolutely awful. And that's why he's hitting 235. We talk about this all the time. It's very easy this profile is very simple. So he's going to have to make better contact. He's going to have to make better contact to have success at the big league level and to reach his expectations. He was hot right before he got hurt. And, this is so funny because he was really bad to start his professional career with the Athletics. And he's played, 29 games, multiply that by 5, right? Give him 150 games played. 25 home runs, 75 RBIs. That's really not that bad for a rookie, right? We'll see if he's able to tame things. I do know that if you look at his batted ball data, it's very, very good. All of his expected numbers, WOBA, slugging, and batting average are all above what his raw numbers are. So I think there's a lot of reason to be very bullish on Nick Kurtz the rest of the way. We'll just continue to follow his development because, again, you never know with the rookies and how they're going to progress. Next up is some pitching talk. Now, this one, I don't know. I mean, sometimes I'm not saying that teams lie. I think sometimes teams do lie. I don't think the Padres in this situation are lying, which makes me kind of concerned. Michael King's out with a shoulder injury. We all know that. He's been shut down for throwing. We all know that. Their team is continuing to gather medical information. That doesn't sound good. He's been out for weeks now. What are we still garnering medical? So I'm getting a little nervous here. I got to be honest. I think that when you hear we're in a holding pattern, we're continuing to do work to determine what the best options are. So for right now, he's not doing anything, Michael King. Sounds like, and let's play the game, sounds like best case scenario, he's out a month from now. From now, he's out a month. That sounds like the best case. He's not doing anything right now. So they have to build him back up and all that. A month from now puts you right around the All-Star break. So a best case scenario is returning right before the All-Star break. Best case. Worst case, it's obviously after the All-Star break and then potentially something else. So where we had hoped with Michael King, it would be a short stay on the injury list. Clearly, that's not going to be the case. He's got a pinched nerve in his shoulder. It's been a couple of weeks, and they're still trying to figure out the best way to go forward. A little concerning with Michael King. Hunter Greene, talk about concerning. And, this brings up a wider thing. And I was talking to Phil Backert this morning, our producer at Fantasy Sports Radio. This show is Monday through Friday at 12 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Jeff Mann's Elite Sports Show is on SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio from 3 to 6 Monday through Friday. I'm on with him Wednesdays when I'm not here. The Elite Sports Game Time show is 8 to 10 Eastern, Monday through Friday. That's me and Justin Fensterman. Phil produces the show with Jeff. He also does our IDP work on the football side of things at fantasyguru.com and does cheat sheets for baseball for DFS. And he and I were talking, and it's like, I'm getting tired, man. And I know all you are too. And it's, I'm starting to question, and I hate this, but I'm really starting to question like how much seasonal baseball I'm going to continue to play. Not because I love the game any less than I did 20 years ago. I still love it just as much. I still really enjoy it. I enjoy the work and all this kind of stuff. But when you're in a 14 or 15 team mixed league, which we talk about all the time with me, like there's no options. Like I'm counting on Colin Ray. Like my season needs to be saved by Chris Paddock and Colin Ray. Like, is that fun? It's not. At least if you're in a smaller league like most of you are, you have viable options on the waiver wire. But there's never-ending stream of injuries on the hill, the never-ending stream of setbacks on the hill. Ugh. And thanks, Poke, CA Poke, by the way, our guy. Reposted the stream. We appreciate you on Twitter X. Hunter Greene's the latest guy. He's got a groin issue. He's got a back issue. He's been on the injured list, off the injured list, on the injured list. Everything's fine. It's not fine. He's hurt. He's not hurt. He's traveling to LA for second opinions, apparently, on both his groin and his back. Maybe they're related, right? They're close. They actually are close on your body. Certainly doesn't seem like 2 weeks is going to do it this time for Hunter Greene. So Hunter Greene, just like Justin Fensterman and I talked on the Elite Sports Game Time show, again, 8 to 10 Eastern, Monday through Friday, because Justin has him on all his teams this year. We talked about it months ago, and the key was, can Greene stay healthy? Doesn't look like he can this year. I don't know what that means long-term for Hunter Greene, but very concerning when a guy goes for a second opinion. Certainly concerning when a guy's flying halfway across the country for the second opinion. And when you have two injuries, I'm not expecting at this point Hunter Greene back before the All-Star game. We'll see. Hopefully I'm wrong, but we'll see. Ryan Weathers, So Ryan Weathers, if you missed it, Ryan Weathers hurt his side but didn't hurt his side. He hurt his head, but he didn't hurt his head. He got hit in the head by a throw from the catcher. Stayed in the game after that. After the game, we were uncertain, was he removed because of an injury? Or was he removed because of his head, because of his arm? Wasn't his arm. Wasn't his head. It was his oblique side strain. I don't know. Then they thought he was going to be okay. Then he went on the 15-day. Then he went on the 60-day. He's on the 60-day IL. It just happened in like 2 hours. He's out months. Best case scenario, Ryan Weathers is out months. So he went from the team telling us he's going to be fine to being on the 60-day IL in a day. So for the second, third, fifth, ninth time, whatever it is, Ryan Weathers, I mean, what started out so well, Ryan Weathers was in the breakout pitcher of the year column back in February, right? Shows up at camp and he's throwing 98 miles an hour and everything looks great and everyone's pumped and he's got new pitches and all. Dude it doesn't matter. He can't throw. He gets hurt all the time. And so we'll see. Again, 2 months. So obviously he's out till August. If you have an IL spot and it's fine to store a guy there because you have multiple IL spots, sure. If you have no IL spots, Ryan Weathers is immediate drop. If you have IL spots, then you only have 3 or 4 of them and they're full. Like at this point, you can't trust Ryan Weathers anything. I can't trust that he's back in early August or that he can make 9 starts the rest of the way if he does return in August. So Ryan Weathers, unfortunately, a season that started out with so much promise is going straight into the toilet. It's just unfortunate. Let's talk a couple of hitters here before we jump back into pitching, because we do have some good news on the pitching side of things. I want to talk about Ronald Acuna real quickly. 5th home run of the year, walked twice on Monday night. I don't know if you saw the home run or not, but he blasted it to right field, showing tremendous opposite field power. Obviously, the bat is fine. He's hitting 300. He's got a 400 on base percentage, slugging percentage, almost 600. Yippee-ki-yay. He's got a 32% K rate, which is terrible. And clearly, he's not going to hit 300 doing that. The good news is the last time he had a 24% strikeout rate was COVID 2020. So the strikeout rate's going to come down as he gets more locked in here, driving the baseball. But here's the concern. We're 16 games into this, and his attempted steal total is lower than his grounded into double play total. He has not attempted a steal in 16 games. If he's got 1,000 OPS and he's hitting 300 and he's hitting a home run every 3 games, fine. Is it reasonable to expect him to do that all season long? We knew he wasn't. We all anticipated him going 2020 if he played 120 games this year, right? I think everyone said that's still in play here. Then we started hearing, well, he's probably not going to run as much or not going to be as aggressive. And it's like, okay, 15 to 20 steals. He's played 16 games and he hasn't tried to steal a single base. Again, we'll take what we can get at this point with Ronald Acuna. Whatever you paid for him, third round pick, whatever, it is what it is at this point. It doesn't change anything. But the fact that he hasn't even attempted a steal, not a single steal has been attempted, disappointing. Disappointing. Bryan Reynolds, just to mention him, talked about him on the Elite Sports Game Time show again. We had this discussion over and over again. I think he's got 15 RBIs in 16 games, 14 RBIs in 15 games, something like that. He's basically got an RBI game the last couple weeks. He's batting .333 the last couple weeks. His OPS like 1,000 the last couple weeks. It's finally happening with Bryan Reynolds. He had the tricep injury. He was struggling to find his game. I know a lot of you in Discord and here on the show were wanting to drop him. And, I said all along that, Bryan Reynolds is my guy, that I'm not dropping him. I wouldn't drop him. I even told someone in Discord specifically, I understand completely why you're making this move and it makes all the sense in the world. I'm still not doing it. I'm stubborn. Maybe that's it. But Reynolds has really come around of late. Now it's going to be a challenge for him to get to where we expected him to be back in March, because the first 2 months were so slow. But the last couple of weeks, he's done excellent work for the Pirates. So check your waiver wire. You never know. You're in a shallow league. Bryan Reynolds is kind of boring. He's on the Pirates. His overall numbers aren't very good. He seems to be in a hell of a groove here the last couple of weeks. Going back to the pitching side of things, and again, I'm Ray Flowers of fantasyguru.com. Find me on all the social medias at The Ray Flowers. So just type in at The Ray Flowers. I should pop up. Eury Perez returned. This is good news. We talked about this yesterday. He returned for the Marlins, made his first start of the season coming back from Tommy John surgery. He averaged 98 miles an hour on his fastball, so he's healthy. This is great to see. I think it might even have been 98 and a half. He's averaged about 98 miles an hour on his fastball, through 70 pitches, which is kind of what we were expecting, right? 70, 75 was kind of the hope. Only 3 innings. Ugh. Gave up 4 runs. Ugh. So as we talked about yesterday, it's like, the good news is he's healthy and he was throwing 98, 99. The bad news is the results were not good. And he threw 70 pitches to get through 3 innings. So he's set to face the Nationals next time out. I assume he's going to make that start on Sunday for the 2-start week. As we discussed on the show here yesterday, I had concerns about starting Perez this week. But looks like he again, passed every test possible yesterday other than performance. That should come. His stuff is seemingly top shelf again, just as it was before he got hurt. So all in all, a really good first outing. If you started him, disappointing, but all in all, a very good first outing. Let's talk some Dodger pitching here. Blake Snell. He's got a shoulder injury that we know about, right? He's been out for a long time. He's going to throw a bullpen session today. He threw a little bit over the weekend, and that seemingly went okay, so they're progressing to the bullpen session today. We don't know when he's going to return. We do know he's been out since late April with the shoulder injury. We know that the idea of him throwing a bullpen session, that's still a minimum of 2, if not 4 minor league rehab starts he's going to need. It's just been too long for them to just activate him. So let's assume the bullpen session goes well today. Maybe he pitches next weekend this weekend in the minors. Maybe he throws another game in the minors the week after that. And then the third time out, he's back at the big leagues if everything goes well. That's the best case scenario at this point. It's very likely that it could be 3 or 4 weeks still. Snell has started and stopped a little bit here, so it's also possible he throws the bullpen session today, and it's so I don't know. I guess this is good news, but I just don't know. And it's much like that with his teammate Tyler Glasnow, who's also out with a shoulder injury now. He's going to throw a bullpen session today. So, both Snell and Glasnow are throwing today, and we'll all hold our breaths. I don't have either one of these guys on any of my teams. I know a lot of you do. Taking that risk. It has not paid off to date with either guy. Maybe it will in the second half. Glasnow, I'm just reading the report here. Yeah, there's nothing. Probably a best case scenario for both guys, if we're being totally honest, is like the first week of July. I don't even know how reasonable that is. I just, in the case of Glasnow, as we've talked about on the show here, he's got an injury. He doesn't have an injury. He's got an injury. He doesn't have an injury. His body's sore. His mechanics, it's really been a weird thing with Glasnow. Basically, what we've learned is that his elbow barks. So he's changed things up a little bit, but his shoulder's not barking. So they're trying to figure out. And for all the dominance this guy has had, and the same thing with Blake Snell. Blake Snell's thrown 130 innings twice in the bigs. Twice. The only 2 times he's thrown 130 innings is Cy Young winner. But he can't throw 130 innings Glasnow threw 130 innings last year for the first time. Obviously, they're huge for the Dodgers. They're huge in fantasy. We'll just see. Hopefully we'll get the reports today and understand how they're going to perform here in the second half. Shane McClanahan said that his tricep looks great. His structurally, everything looks fantastic. Couldn't be better. He threw a bullpen over the weekend in McClanahan. He, too, is trending toward a return in July. And, I had a question about him, and it's like, what do I tell you? I don't know. I mean, it's been years since we've seen this guy take the ball in a consistent. It's been years. So I'm hopeful. There was a lot of excitement with McClanahan in camp, back in February, March. A lot of excitement with him this year, that he looked good, that everything seemed to be fine after his arm was fixed, and then he had the tricep issue. So we'll hope to see him back right around the All-Star break, and we'll reassess. But good news right now, at least, he's moving in the right direction. We'll see if he can continue to do that. Bryce Miller not moving in the right direction. Bryce Miller was placed on the injured list yesterday, or actually we placed on the list, I think, officially today. Logan Evans is going to join the rotation for the Mariners. This is obviously another setback for Miller. And now we're starting to get to the point where we're getting concerned, or at least I'm getting concerned, that it's got to be the elbow again. And if that bone spur is moved, it might need surgery now. So it's really starting to look like Bryce Miller, who I have on all my teams, Bryce Miller, who you probably have on all your teams, who has been really, really good up until this season, is going to have a lost season. That's just what it's looking like. And there's a realistic chance, I think, at this point, that we're talking about an extended absence right now. I think we have to at least consider the possibility of him going under the knife. So, yeah, it's just, we'll get that clarification here, hopefully in the next 24 hours, so we know exactly what we're dealing with here. But, yeah, it's just starting to look like a lost season for him, and it's just terrible. Justin Martinez exited the game on Monday with right elbow tightness. Okay, is that bad? Not tight. Like, I've played a lot of baseball in my life. Elbow tightness. I'm not even sure what that would really feel like. Again, I played baseball, organized baseball, since I was 6, and I had elbow issues. I had tendonitis in my elbow. I've talked about it. I've taken cortisone shots in my elbow. I've done therapy in my elbow. I've used to do naproxen for my elbow. Like, I've done all these things. Tightness. Shelby Miller's the guy right now. The great plan of handcuffing pitching relievers has worked in a lot of scenarios. One of the scenarios we talked about in the preseason was the Diamondbacks. Let's get Justin Martinez and AJ Puck, which I did in one league, and both guys. Just the nature. This again goes to the frustration of pitching in modern day baseball. I did the right thing. I got 2 potentially dynamic relievers in Puck and Martinez, a lefty and a righty. Each guy's going to strike out well above a batter an inning. One guy gets 14 saves. The other guy gets 23 saves. We get great ratios. Both have been hurt for the majority of the season. Shelby Miller, who no one was drafting or talking about in March, is probably the guy yet again here with the Diamondbacks. Probably already rostered because of the way things have gone in the bullpen, but you can check for Shelby Miller. He's the favorite right now. We don't know how much time Martinez is going to miss. He recently has been out with the shoulder issue, so hopefully this doesn't go down the Tyler Glasnow route. But yeah, it's another one of these situations. It's just a mess, and it's a mess in the bullpen. And it brings up the larger discussion. I was having a discussion over in the chat, the Discord room over at FG this morning. And let me say this. I haven't said this in a while here on the show. Remember, we're dealing with everyone on offense can hit a home run, hit a double, steal a base. Okay. Every starting pitcher can strike a guy out or win a ball game. In order to get a save, if you're in a saves league, in order to get a save, there has to be a specific scenario that plays out in the game, 3 runs or less, or you're pitching 3 or more innings, like we saw Paul Blackburn do the other day. So there has to be a certain game scenario that plays out, and then your manager has to call on you to get a save when the opportunity arises, right? So it's a challenge. There are probably 40 guys, right, that consistently get save chances, and that's it. You're in a 10-team league. There's 4 guys a team maximum that get consistent save opportunities. Now, there's going to be one team that's got 3 of the top 10 closers because someone always drafts that way. There's going to be someone else that went to the waiver wire and they grabbed Camilo Doval and they pieced it together that way. But most people probably have a couple of these guys. And, some of these guys can help you in the ratio category. Some of them are only guys to get saves because they're not really effective in the ratio categories. But the bottom line is there's just a finite amount of relievers that get saves. So if you're looking to make a move, the question was Ryan Helsley, who struggled again for the Cardinals. The question was, should I drop Helsley for Bednar? Number one, I don't know how Bednar's on the waiver wire. We've all been talking about him here on the show for a month now, maybe longer than that. I don't know how in a league no one's picked up Bednar. Very weird. You can make the determination that Bednar's better than Helsley the rest of the way if you want. The way things have looked the last week here, maybe, right? But at the same time, I'm of the opinion that if you have Helsley, you hold Helsley, and you add Bednar by dropping somebody else. Why? Because, again, anyone could hit a home run or steal a base. Anyone could strike somebody out or win a ball game. Certain scenarios have to play out for you to get those saves. And if you're not in a Solds league where the skills matter, which is the way I've tried to push everyone to do leagues, because then the skills of the pitcher matter more. So be cautious with dropping one closer for another closer. You kind of just spin your wheels there. Let's hypothetically you make the move from Helsley to Bednar, and then Bednar has a rough week and Helsley rips off 3 saves. So, just be cautious there. Because another scenario to talk about bullpens here before we visit with Armando Marsal and talk some football. He has a pack today. We're going to open a pack of cards, a new pack of cards too. Not an old one, a new one today. Look at what's going on with the Cubs, right? The Cubs had Ryan Presley. He's now out of the mix. Daniel Palencia has taken over the 9th inning. Palencia yesterday blew the game, gave up a couple of runs in the 11th inning. Porter Hodge, who's out with an oblique injury. I think he has a hip or something too. He's going to throw batting practice today. He threw a bullpen last week on Friday, so he could be back in the high leverage inning, high leverage work by the end of the week, early next week. Hodge pitched very well before he went down with the injury. Is he going to become the closer? Is Palencia going to hold on? He's pitched very well other than last night. He's pitched very well for the Cubs. Again, why do this to yourself? So for those of you that are in saves leagues, I don't think you should be, but hey, that's 85% of leagues, 90% of leagues are probably saves leagues. So just updated the closer grid over at fantasyguru.com yesterday. So check that out with our red, green, and white, denoting green, obviously good, white, red, danger zone. So we've got those numbers and those names up over at fantasyguru.com. So click on that closer grid article that was updated yesterday. I'll have a raised plays article out later today talking DFS. We'll have some more bets out later today as well over at fantasyguru.com. We'll have the show tonight. Justin Fensterman and I will be on talking all sports. We'll talk a little football. We'll talk a little basketball. I think the next game is tomorrow night, so I don't know how much basketball we're going to talk. We'll talk baseball, of course, 8 to 10 Eastern on Sirius XM Fantasy Sports Radio. And I'm also writing football in the background. Our draft guide is available over at fantasyguru.com. Everyone should know that. Be aware of that by now. Let's go. Get signed up. Click that the subscribe tab in the top right corner of the page. Get signed up for the product. Seasonal, DFS, wagering, football, all of it is available. Rankings. PPR rankings, non-PPR rankings, dynasty rankings, rookie rankings, IDP rankings, best ball rankings. We just released our best ball package. Tyler Beaker was talking about that when he visited with us yesterday. So all of this over at fantasyguru.com. Click the Elite Plus tab at the top of the page to find this show and the show of our next guest as well, Armando Marsal. So Elite Plus for the videos, for the shows. Subscribe in the top right corner to get signed up for the product. And it is a Tuesday. And it means that we're visiting with Armando Marsal. Again, Elite Plus tab at the top of the page. You can find his Armando Marsal podcast. He and Tyler Beaker been going through all of the divisions, breaking them down. Tyler then takes basically the discussion and puts it out there in article form too. That's part of what you get if you sign up for the product over at fantasyguru.com. And remember, here through the end of the regular season, it's not just a preseason product, it's a full season product at FG. Without further ado, let us bring in the guy, Armando Marsal of FG. How you doing, Armando?
I'm doing good, man. Pumped to be here, man. Talk football, and it's we talk about this at this stage of the year. It's like we're in mid-season form. We've been doing so much behind the scenes, so many articles, so much content now, all coming to fruition there with the draft guide. So, just excited to be here to talk some football, man. How are you doing?
I'm doing all right. Yeah, it's a busy time. It was funny. I was talking to Justin Fensterman on the show last night. And for those people that don't know, when I started in fantasy, I was a hockey guy in addition to everything else. And Justin goes, "Hey, Ray, last night we were talking about this." He said, "Why don't you do hockey anymore?" And I said, "Justin, I'm doing seasonal baseball every day. I'm doing DFS baseball every day. I'm doing wagering baseball every day. I'm doing football every day. I'm hosting a show in the morning every day. And I'm doing a show with you at night every day. When am I going to do hockey?" he's like, well, yeah, but I'm like, do you want me to get rid of my significant other? Like, where do you think? There is a lot going on. And so it is a very busy time. Are you a hockey fan? You watching? You got Florida Panthers in the finals.
Yeah, we're watching it here. The kids and I, and the wife last night watched the game. It was a good game.
Okay.
Lots of fighting, but it was a good game overall.
Nice.
But yeah, I don't know the sport too well. I'm still learning some of the rules and things like that because I don't watch it. Growing up, I watched a little bit. I did watch Tampa Bay Lightning was a team I kind of liked, and then the Florida Panthers, of course, and. So, but yeah, we watch it. We're not diehard fans here, but we do watch it down here in the Marsal household.
Yeah, I didn't pick up because hockey didn't come to California until the early '90s with the Sharks in the Bay Area. So I didn't follow hockey until I think like my freshman year of college, was just when it came out, '91, senior year of high school. And then I got super into it. And a lot of people don't know that I'm still the only person that's ever hosted a hockey show on Sirius XM Fantasy Sports Radio.
Really?
Yeah, I'm the only one. I hosted a 1-hour show on Saturdays for a year. It was sponsored by Molson Ice. So we had a sponsor for the show and the whole thing. Yeah, I'm still the only one that's ever done that. So that was a long time ago. But funny enough, Justin was my producer on that show. So
look at that.
Yeah, so we used to have fun on Saturdays. But we got you here now, so let's have some fun on a Tuesday. Let's talk some football because I don't think people want to hear me reminisce about my life story, at least today. There's some news that matters. There's some news that doesn't matter. One of the things that matters at this point on the calendar is additions to teams. So let's talk a little bit about the Texans backfield. We got Joe Mixon there. Dameon Pierce set to be the backup. Well, now here comes Nick Chubb. And so talk us through this because I think some people are going to get too excited about Nick Chubb. I think some people are going to panic about Joe Mixon. I think we can all agree Dameon Pierce, okay. But what's going on here in this backfield? What do you think?
Yeah, so I think that they needed to make an addition behind Joe Mixon, right? I don't think they want to give Joe Mixon nearly 300 opportunities like he had last year. I think they want to kind of have him fresh for the postseason. I think that's going to be big for the Texans here. When you look at Dameon Pierce, he just wasn't it, right? We saw it last year. Like after a solid rookie campaign, he's disappeared. Not the same guy that we was or didn't play to those expectations. Did not look good at all last year. Looked really bad, really, when he was given the opportunity. So, they added Woody Marks in the NFL draft, but he's not that kind of running back that's going to run in between the tackles a ton and maybe give you that short yardage. So I think this is why they added Nick Chubb. Look, for me, I was viewing Joe Mixon kind of a low-end RB1, high-end RB2, where I kind of felt comfortable with him as my running back one if I took kind of like a modified or a zero RB approach, or modified zero RB, not really zero. But if I went with that approach, and I'm still feeling that way, but now I view him more of a, maybe in that 14 to 16 range instead of that 12 to 14 range, just a little bit for me, because I do think Chubb will cut it in a little bit into his workload, but not much, maybe take away some potential touchdowns there. As far as Nick Chubb, I'm not going to go out of my way to handcuff here. I do think that we'll see some form of committee. I still think Woody Marks will have some role in the passing game, but I was more excited about him before this news than I am now. But for me, really what changes is just, Joe Mixon being that, low-end RB1, high-end RB2, kind of to that mid-level RB2. That's really what changes here for me, Ray. And then Dameon Pierce, I was not actively targeting him as a handcuff. Mm-hmm. This just means that he is not at all on the radar.
Let's talk a little bit about backfields by continuing the discussion with the Ravens. We all know that Derrick Henry's the guy. No doubt about that. First round, early second round, and a lot of drafts in the early going here. You mentioned handcuffing. Are you handcuffing Derrick Henry? And if you are, is it Justice Hill or Keaton Mitchell? Like, a lot of people really seem to get excited every time we get some positive news on Keaton Mitchell. And let's just say it. He's really fast. Good. He ain't close to being Derrick Henry. He can't replace Derrick Henry. If Derrick Henry went down, I don't know, what does Mitchell get? 10 touches? He's like more like Jaleel McLaughlin than he is Derrick Henry. So what are we doing here? If we're taking Henry, are we handcuffing him? And if we are, is it Hill or Mitchell we're grabbing?
So not all handcuffs are created equal, right? And this is one of those situations where there's not an overly appealing handcuff here, because if Henry were to miss time, there's no 1v1 replacement. It's not going to be Mitchell. It's not going to be Hill. I see a situation where they could run some form of committee. We've seen how they've utilized Hill. I think Hill will have some weeks where even when Henry's playing, he's going to have some, decent amount of opportunities depending on game flow, game script, game plan, all that stuff. So I'm not going out of my way to handcuff anyone here. If I'm in a draft and I'm late in the drafts and Justice Hill is there lying around, sure, why not be investing in this offense? But like you said, I don't, these kind of reports where they're positive about a player and then you see the hype and stuff, I don't buy into that. To me, it's a little bit of noise, because at the end of the day, there is no Derrick Henry behind Derrick Henry. And that's what we really got to focus on when we're trying to handcuff. You want that player that's going to step into those opportunities, or maybe not the exact same role, but at least 80% of that workload. And when you look at this backfield, I don't envision any of the running backs in this backfield receiving 80% of the workload that Derrick Henry gets. I see more of a committee-based situation there in Baltimore.
Armando Marsal of fantasyguru.com joins us every Tuesday at about 12:30 Eastern Standard Time. And stay tuned, folks. I think he's got a pack of cards, and it's a new one.
Yes.
You might know the players. We won't have a lot of guys with mustaches.
No 80s mustaches.
No 80s mustaches today. Question about the handcuffing, because it was asked the other day in Discord, and it's a good question. It's not one that we normally address, so I wanted to ask you. I don't ever draft a running back because of who his handcuff is. I don't avoid drafting a running back because of who his handcuff is. Like, I wouldn't avoid taking Derrick Henry because I don't know who his backup is, right? That's not how I would draft. Ideally, you draft the number one guy and you draft his backup. That's the way you want to build a team. Some scenarios, though, it's not obvious. So the question is, if you're looking at Jonathan Taylor and you don't know who the backup is with Colts land for certain, and if you're taking Kyron Williams and you're not sure, is it Blake Corum or the new guy, would you go one direction or another? Like, if you're looking at running backs and you got guys ranked 10, 11 or 14, 15, like they're the same guy basically in your rankings, would you ever lean toward one or the other because of the handcuff situation, or is that not something that you consider?
No, I'm always going to go with the player I have ranked the highest at that moment. Who the handcuff is shouldn't matter. The decision you have to make regarding the handcuff is kind of what we were talking about before, Ray, where if it's a clear-cut handcuff, that's the time you want to go and invest and try your hardest to handcuff that player, because we could talk Seattle, right? The back. Mm-hmm. We got Ken Walker. We like Ken Walker there a lot this year here at Fantasy Guru. Zach Charbonnet is a clear-cut handcuff. We know that if Walker were to miss time, Charbonnet is going to step into that exact same role. We've seen it year in and year out now, right? That is a clear-cut handcuff. That is the kind of handcuff you want to be invested in. Just because a running back doesn't have that kind of handcuff doesn't mean I'm not going to invest in the running back. You just don't have to force the handcuff. You can maybe wait around. If you're torn between two guys and you feel like maybe it could be this way, or maybe it's going to be a committee, take the cheaper back. Just take the cheaper back, and you don't have to invest in earlier draft capital on that second guy that there's uncertainty with. So that's why I view Ray. I will never let a player's handcuff determine whether I choose that running back or not. I just, to me, that's not the way I draft.
You hungry? You want a burger?
That actually, I was looking at. I was trying to figure that out. I was like, Monster. So where is that? Is that a ballpark?
Yeah,
or
it's at Fenway. The Greene Monster, so they call, I guess, the Monster Shack.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm assuming their burgers are like big, right?
I don't know. Good question. Hopefully, right? Tall. Yeah, like a lot of lettuce.
If it's Monster, if they're representing Monster, it can't be a small smash burger, guys.
Hopefully not.
It has to be like a triple stack, right? Bacon, cheese. Like, now I'm getting hungry.
My significant other makes really good burgers, but sometimes she does the stacking thing, and it's like, okay, we're gonna stack it. Now we're gonna throw an egg on it. And it's like, this thing is now all over me. I need a wetsuit. Like, do you like it? I don't like it when I have to unhinge my jaw to turn into a snake. What do you think? I'd rather have it small and manageable and just have a couple of them that way.
A burger, I don't mind. I don't mind getting a little messy with a burger. Okay. Right? I'm not gonna lie. I do agree it's more comfortable. I'm not a big. We're gonna go on a tangent here about food, but I'm not big on what are the stone crabs and stuff, because it's too much. Too much work. It tastes good. There's too much work, right?
Gotcha.
Give me just a lobster. It's already off the tail. All right, we could do that. But I don't mind getting a little sloppy with a burger.
Okay.
I do like the egg on the burger, though.
Yeah, some people think it's gross. It's kind of cool.
I like it.
I didn't pick it up till the last couple of years, but
you do the bacon, egg.
Yeah.
Little guac. Yeah. Cheese and burger.
We usually do avocado, but which makes it even worse, because then when you squeeze the avocado pieces slide out. But guacamole probably hold on a little bit better. Armando Marsal at fantasyguru.com with our culinary delights here. Another backfield situation, the Bills. it's a big one, right? And there was questions this morning. I was seeing people considering what Cook's value are in a dynasty league. And the bottom line is Cook doesn't have a contract beyond this year. We don't know whether James Cook is going to be there in week 1 or not. We don't know how his desires for a contract are going to impact his availability or performance on the field. We've got Ray Davis sitting there, and Ray Davis looked pretty good last year, and he's obviously willing and ready to take on a bigger role. What are we doing here? Is this James Cook? You're in because of the scenario? Are you out because of everything that's going on? Is this a must handcuff scenario? If you're involved, talk us through the Bills' backfield.
Yeah, so we know that he's reporting to minicamp now, right? There's concerns about whether he holds out or not. That remains to be seen. I think this is a good step in the right direction for Cook and the Bills. The way I view this situation is I'm not avoiding Cook entirely, but I'm not going out of my way to draft him. I'm viewing him as an RB2. That's kind of the territory I'm kind of considering him as, an RB2. And where I'm more aggressive is taking Ray Davis, right? Like, because I think you and I have talked about this before. Tyler and I definitely have talked about this as well, but last season we had a lot of hype around Ray Davis, and he was kind of you're getting a discount on the same player that we were hyped about last season. The opportunities were not there. I get that. But things could change here, right? Like we're seeing Cook hold out. We're seeing Cook. There's the disgruntled there. We don't know if he's going to hold out. So I like the idea of even if you don't invest in Cook, kind of take someone like Ray Davis, because, like you said, he looked good at times last year. He's someone that I think could take a step forward, could see more opportunities, and someone that if Cook holds out could be the every down back for Buffalo, and not going at that price right now. So I'm okay with Cook as your RB2. I am a little concerned that this is something that drags out for a while. And it could get worse before it gets better. And because of that, I feel more comfortable taking Ray Davis at the discounted price compared to where we were taking him at last year. So I would invest now on Davis before we see more news and negative news regarding Cook.
I will say it this way. If you have a question about whether you should draft James Cook or not, you, listener, follower, should not draft James Cook.
Correct.
If you have a concern about it, just don't draft him. There's too many other guys, right? If you're trying to game the system, you're trying to get an edge, okay. But if you have questions about, should I bother doing this? Just don't draft him. You don't have to like every player. We talk about this a lot. You don't have to like every player. A player that I think we all like, Armando, as we move out wide, is Chris Godwin. Coming back from a significant ankle injury, there's some hope that he's going to be ready for week 1. We're still uncertain if he'll get there or not. This is a fascinating scenario because obviously the OC is gone. He's now the head coach of Jacksonville, but we saw Baker Mayfield have a massive season last year. He's been pretty effective the last 2 years. Obviously, Evans and Godwin are guys that catch 5 passes every week from Baker Mayfield. But you look at Godwin, it's another injury. He's played every game once in 6 years. It's a long time. There's uncertainty about where he's going to be at physically at the start of the season. Chris Godwin, your thoughts?
Yeah, so we talked about this on episode 106 of the Mind of Marsal podcast, and when we talked about the Bucs. And a healthy Godwin is a player I want to be invested in, right? Because he's been so good and he's been so productive. I think it's a situation you want to monitor. I'm still investing in him at this moment. I do think, there's optimism regarding his return. Everything you've read has been, positive. He's hit all his milestones from everything we've read. So long as there are no setbacks, there's a good chance that he'll be available early in the season. Now, can these kind of players take a little bit of time to get going? Sure. Is there a new system here, a new situation here? Sure. But I look at Godwin, and when you look at who he was doing before the injury last year, weeks 1 through 7, he was wide receiver 2 in PPR formats, wide receiver top 5 in PPR points per game. Like, he was just having a monster season on path to a career year. I think he'll pick up right where he left off. It could be it could take some time. It could be a couple of weeks. It could be a month before you see him playing at 100%. But I do think investing in Chris Godwin this year is something I want to be doing. He's still going to demand a high percentage of the target share there when he's healthy and when he's on the field. We saw the impact that he makes on this offense and just kind of the player that he is for Baker Mayfield. So, yeah, I'm in on Chris Godwin. I'm okay with drafting him at his ADP. I just keep in mind that it could be a couple of weeks before he's, maybe at 100% and going at full throttle there.
Marsal of fantasyguru.com. This is another guy, T. Higgins, who Yeah, T. Higgins got paid, and he's in a great offense, and he's up across the field from the number one wide receiver in football, all this kind of stuff. T. Higgins has played every game once in his career, and it was his rookie season. 4 straight years he's failed to play every game, and now he got paid. And while I'm nervous. I'll just say it. Now this dude getting paid, I'm nervous. Okay, and there's a track record here of him being very productive and missing games. Where are we at with T. Higgins? Is he a lock? Because you look at ADP, he's a lockdown wide receiver too. Everyone's in. Are you in, Armando?
Yeah, I'm in on T. Higgins. I like him. I understand what I'm investing in. And we talk about this all the time, right? You have to understand what you're investing in. And you're investing in an injury-prone player, and you're investing high draft capital on him. In our staff mock draft, I took him as my wide receiver 3. That's kind of where I prefer him, in that wide receiver 3 territory. Right. He is a wide receiver 2. Like, that's where he's going at. And when you look at Underdog, he's actually going to wide receiver 12 on Underdog right now. So he's going as a wide receiver 1 in best ball formats right now. That's a bit steep for me, right? But if you could get him as your wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3, I think it's a slam dunk. If he stays healthy, he can produce at a very high level. When you look at the numbers last year, Ray, yes, in PPR points per game, he was a wide receiver 4. He's been a top, 20 wide receiver in PPR points per game in 3 of his 5 seasons in the NFL. So I think he's someone that could be a wide receiver 2 so long as he's healthy, right? With wide receiver 1 upside. But with my builds, the way I draft, my style of drafting, he generally is my wide receiver 3, and I'm very, very stoked about that.
If he falls to you there. I agree.
Yeah, if he does, right?
If he's my 3, I'd feel much better than my 2, and ridiculousness with the 1. Marsal, fantasyguru.com. A tight end to ask you about. We'll return to the mock draft that Armando was mentioning in just a second. A tight end to talk about. Jatavian Sanders. There were some moments last year where it's like, this is starting to get a little interesting here. And he's dropped some weight this offseason, and we're getting some positive reports. He's in good shape. He's looking good. Bryce Young improved a little bit down the stretch. Seemed like there was a little bit going on there. In a redraft scenario, he's not a tight end 1. I don't believe in drafting 2 tight ends. So, okay. Let's talk about Sanders more of a keeper dynasty league scenario. What do you think? Is he in that mix of guys that you're interested in kicking the tires on?
In deeper formats, sure. Like, it has to be a deep dynasty league, maybe a tight end premium league where you're kind of looking for that third tight end. It's difficult, right? Because he's entering his second year, and then you also have to have, you have to be buying in on Bryce Young as well, like that development. I'm still not sold on that either. So I'm a little bit tentative when it comes to Sanders. I think, like you said, there's been glimpses, right? There are little glimpses here and there. But I think outside of deeper formats, not someone I'm interested in. Deeper formats, if you're looking for, I'm talking about, we play 32 team league dynasties, like in something like that, sure. In a 12-team league, probably not, outside of tight end premiums in very deep formats.
Marsal at fantasyguru.com. He and I were both part of the staff mock draft that just went live yesterday over at fantasyguru.com. So remember, click the subscribe tab in the top right corner to get signed up for the seasonal, the DFS, or the wagering product. All of them are available. They're full season products. You just get in now and you go all the way through the year. The articles for the seasonal product, basically every day we're getting at least one article coming out here. And again, you get access to that. You can always send a note to support at fantasyguru.com as well. I want to ask you about 2 guys. We'll tease it a little bit. You teased it a little bit with one of your receivers earlier, T. Higgins. We'll tease it with a couple of guys you took at the end to round out your receiving core. And again, the whole draft is in there. 12-team draft, 14 rounds. Everyone comments. Everyone did like a paragraph commentary after the draft and all that as well. Rasheed Shaheed was a guy you grabbed real late. I was eyeing Rasheed Shaheed at the same point, so I get it. What are reasonable expectations? Because last year there was a lot of hype and looked like he was going to deliver on that, and then he got hurt. Now it looks like Shook is the quarterback, and there's changes with the offense with the Saints. Like, Shaheed's fast. Can he be more than that in this offense?
I still view him as a volatile player. Like, he was wide receiver 32 or 31, if I'm not mistaken, in PPR points per game last year. I think he has that boomer bust appeal where you could flex him in certain situations, maybe during bye weeks, but he's not someone I think will give you a weekly floor. So because of that, I'm not huge on drafting him in redrafts a lot. I do think he's going to be volatile, and guessing, his production could be difficult. But I do think that he's going to be like he could be potentially at one point or another wide receiver 1 in this offense, right? Because Olave has difficulty staying on the field. So yeah, but there is variance here. There is variance and there's volatility. So for me, I took him. He's my wide receiver 6 in this draft, and he's nothing more than a plug and play flex option for me when I need. If he returns top 36 value, that'd be great. But I'm looking more of a flex, plug and play during bye weeks injuries or in a good matchup or if there's injuries in New Orleans.
Final wide receiver before we open a pack of cards for baseball. Romeo Doubs. Like, we've all talked about the Packers, and they keep drafting wide receivers, and no one knows who's getting the ball, and no one wants to draft Romeo Doubs, and no one talks about Romeo Doubs, and here's Romeo Doubs like leading the team in catches. Like, it's like, again, at that point of a draft, you can make the decision, I'm going to throw a dart at a rookie, and I'm going to try to get a guy I could actually utilize on a somewhat consistent basis if I have a need. Is Romeo Doubs your favorite Packers receiver given the cost? Is he someone you just grab there because what the hell? Are you targeting him? Talk us through it.
He's my favorite Packers receiver at the cost, right? And he's not a super high upside play. He's not someone that's going to average 20 fantasy points per game or give you, if any, 18, 19 fantasy point game. But over the last 2 seasons, he's averaged 10 PPR points per game. I know that's not crazy, but it's a good complement to the kind of receiver that I drafted with Shaheed on the bench, right? Like, I went with super high variance, high ceiling, low floor. And then I went with a guy where, 8 to 12 fantasy points per game. It's boring. He's someone that he had a 20% target share last year there in Green Bay. So like you mentioned, he's usually the guy that they're targeting, right? They spread the ball a lot, but he had the highest target share there. So I'm in on him because of that as a late round flyer. And then again, it depends on my week, right? This is where roster construction and differences of wide receivers comes into play, right? If there's a week where I'm shooting for upside or shooting for ceiling because I'm playing a team that I need to score points again, I'm going to go ahead and put Shaheed. If I'm just looking for a floor and I need to rely on one of my bench receivers, I'm going to go with Doubs. Like, kind of balancing out the two different types of receivers. And that's why I did it, I was hoping to be asked that question with Rich Meadows, the questions, because to me, we get asked that question. Oh, what kind? Do you shoot for upside? Do you shoot for floor? This is exactly the way I try to draft, kind of balance it out with both. And then you have now the option of one or the other, when you're setting your lineups.
Yeah. And I think it's really important. And a lot of times, when people ask questions in Discord or, we always say we need more context. I think Armando's explanation there is really important because there are scenarios where maybe go in the other direction, depending on who else you drafted. And it's not enough people, in my opinion, in fantasy sports holistically look at their teams, right? Because you'll hear it all the time. Oh, I don't care. I just need the highest upside. Well, hear it all the time. It's like, well, what about what positions you need to fill? And what's the goal? And do you need 10 points? Is 10 points going to win it? You have to try 18, even though it might get you 3. So I liked your explanation there, Armando. I thought that was a good one. Armando Marsal of fantasyguru.com joins us every Tuesday at about 12:30 Eastern Standard Time. And most Tuesdays, we do a little bit of fun here at the end, and we open up a pack of cards. And normally we open up this pack of cards, and Armando and I laugh, and I'm opening up Baseball Reference, and I'm throwing out some random number I remember from 1986. But this is different. This is actually going to be a pack of cards that people will know the players, have them on their fantasy squads. And I don't know, do we have the potential here to hit an insert of some kind that might be really exciting?
Well, I don't think so. So we might have there might be an autograph card, but I bought a big box this weekend with the kids and stuff like that. It included a pin, it included an oversized card. It was from Lee from Minnesota. I forgot. Brooks Lee. There you go. That's the name. So we got his. It was a big oversized rookie card. So we opened all but one pack. I told the kids I needed a pack for the show. So we opened 9 and there was no autograph. So there's a potential autograph here. We did get some Chrome cards as well. So that was pretty cool. Yeah, it was a good pool. We had some nice pools there. These are the ones I can show you some of these. So we got the future stars of Jordan Westberg here. That was one of the ones we pulled.
Right.
What else? We got, look, Ellie De La Cruz, like one of these cards.
Oh, nice. Little refractor-ish. I don't know what they're called anymore.
And then we got Kevin Gosman, like a hollow card.
Oh,
So
nice.
we got a couple pretty. There's a bunch here. I'm not gonna go through all of them. I don't want to
Okay.
bore the viewers with all that. But yeah, we got a nice ones. But this is the one we're opening today right here.
Okay,
Top
so
Series 1. There's 14 cards.
14 cards.
But it does say this. Packs with a special insert may contain less cards. So
because it's a thicker card.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I was gonna say they cheap your no, then it's like
okay. So
okay.
let's see what we got.
14 cards, that's a high number for pack these days too, right?
Yeah. Well, there's some that are. It depends on the kind of card you're getting, but there's some that come with like 6, 8, and then there's some that like are 30 packs and stuff.
There's some that are 1 too, right? You can buy those.
I don't know. I don't know.
Like $150 or something.
I do have that shoebox that we talked about that we can pull some of the first Bowman cards for some of these players. All right, I just want to do this nice here. All right, here we go.
Trying to avoid bending the corners.
Yes. All right, we got our first card here, Kenta Maeda.
Oh, Kenta Maeda. Well, there was a period of time where he was a fantasy option. Not so much anymore, but he's had a pretty good career since he came over.
Yeah.
Yeah, couple of really nice years as the back end starting pitcher.
All right, Ray, you're gonna have to give me this last name, Ray.
Okay.
It's he's from the Giants. His name is Mike
Yastrzemski.
There you go.
His uncle is Carl Yastrzemski, the Hall of Fame Red Sox left fielder. He actually was. I just talked about Yastrzemski yesterday, Armando. He was on my Tout Wars team until Sunday night, where I finally dropped him.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and then he had a couple of hits on Sunday because you know how that goes. But he's just he had a really good start to the season, then predictably slowed down.
All right. So is he off?
Yeah, he's a good player. He's a good Giant, but he's not a great fantasy option.
Okay. I'll make sure I don't have him. We got a rookie card. We got Chase McDermott here.
Chase McDermott. Okay. No, that's not
That's
not the Oriole that we want. We want Samuel Basalo or something. Kobe Mayo, something good.
We got Jordan Alvarez here.
Is that Jordan Alvarez? He is.
Yeah.
He's hurt again. He's got a hand issue. I don't know if you heard this. Hurt his hand and was bothering him, and and then they finally put him on the injured list. And then they determined that he had a broken bone in his hand that's been there for weeks. It's like,
oh, goodness.
Your hand has got a gazillion bones. I get it and all that. But like we found out 4 weeks later, you had a broken bone in your hand. Like weird scenario.
That is. Yeah, so he's going to be out for a while.
Yeah, maybe. Well, he'd already been out for a month when they found the broken bone. So hopefully he's back soon, but he just can't get over the hump. And it's, he's almost a left-handed Aaron Judge. Like he's fantastic. He just always misses games. Yeah,
I have multiple PSA 10 rookie cards of Jordan Alvarez, but it's been like that. He's been injured. I'm like, oh, come on. But
really good. He goes 30-100 like every year anyway, or 30-90, but he misses 25 games every year. Yeah.
No, he's a beast. He's a beast.
Yeah.
We got Bailey Ober here.
One of my favorites, a Bailey Ober who's 6'9" and throws like 90 miles an hour, which is kind of weird. You would think he'd be throwing 100, but we've talked about him a lot this year. He's been extremely effective after a terrible first start of the year. Despite lowered velocity, he keeps getting outs.
Here you go.
Yep.
He's pretty efficient.
Very efficient.
Right?
Yep.
Someone that sometimes in DFS we could use. Right?
Absolutely.
I know you've recommended him maybe a time or two, right?
Yep. Absolutely. You got that.
Yes, that's called the race play. Yeah, just behind the scenes, but you got to go check that out. We got Danny Jansen.
I like Danny Jansen. He's had a rough year. He's a very good defensive player. He's now with the Rays. But, he just hasn't really hit. At some point, he's going to get hot and had, 3 home runs in 10 days or something like that. A good Major League Baseball player, but he's just not been a guy this year we can use in fantasy.
Yeah, he's been a punt option to catcher in DFS at times.
Exactly.
We got the average here. It's, so we got Luis Arias, Shohei Ohtani, and Marcell Ozuna. Oh,
wow. So it's a batting average card?
Yeah.
What has it got on the back? What's the back look like? Is it just like a sentence each of the guys? Or is it got, I don't know what the back of these cards look like.
So it says 2024 National League batting average leaders, and then it has the top 3. And then it has the top 10, but the top, they're the top 3 on the.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Oh, interesting. All right.
Yeah.
I still like the cards that have the.
They were the only 3 batting over 300 last year in the National League.
Oh, there was a time where everyone hit 300.
Trey Turner.
Yeah.
Ketel Marte and Jackson Merrill were right there at 292 plus.
Yep.
All right. Oh, look, Marcell Ozuna.
No, his own card. He's dealing with a little bit of a health issue. I think it's his hip. They think he's going to have surgery in the offseason. So he's working through it right now. His numbers are gets on base a ton. He's still got that really strong on base percentage, but there's some concern about him holding up. It sounds like they're going to have to skip some starts here and there to make sure he stays in the lineup, which is odd because he plays 160 games every year.
And he mashes the baseball too.
Yeah.
Oh, we got rookie DJ Hers.
Interesting. I think he's more of a back end starting pitcher. Somebody that spot starter. You said that earlier. Spot starter would be more of my thought process with Mr. Hers.
There you go. We got Isaac Perez.
One of my favorites. He's now with the Astros. He's hitting in the number 2 hole. If he's hitting Altuve, Perez, Alvarez healthy, Christian Walker, like all of a sudden Perez like value shoots. Now he's kind of carrying things because everyone around him is kind of or hurt. But if they get that top 4 going there with the Astros, it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah. All right. We got Anthony Volpe,
yeah. He hurt himself the other day. Seems like he's okay. He's interesting. He's a 2020 guy, but kind of raw still. And I don't know how much more development we're going to get. He might just be an infield version of Randy Arozarena, which is not bad, but I don't know how much, again, refinement we're going to get from him. He's got a lot of nice skills, though.
All right. We got a stars of MLB here, Ray.
Okay.
There you go. Aaron Judge.
Yes. So that's an insert card, or is it just?
So these are stars of MLB. So It's like they have like this series here.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I guess I don't.
One of those ones you get one of every 4 packs or something.
Yeah, exactly.
One. Okay.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's not very valuable, but they have the collection. We have the Ellie De La Cruz one there.
Oh, nice.
Greg Jones.
Greg Jones. Wow, talk about a boring name.
Yeah.
Right? Poor guy. I don't know if
Poor
Ray
guy.
Flowers is much better, but Greg Jones. Pretty
yeah.
bad. Do you like those purple jerseys? I'm not a big fan.
No. I like their old school jersey, man.
Okay.
The one
Stripes?
Where Andres Gallegaro used to rock them. That's the one.
Okay.
And then another boring name, Jordan Beck.
Boring name, a little bit more exciting game.
Yes.
He's on a couple of my teams, on a bunch of people's teams. It was either he or Zach Veen, because the Rockies, in their infinite wisdom and not knowing what they're actually doing, instead of playing both of them, have chosen to use one of them. And Beck's the guy that's established himself. He was promoted, demoted, returned to the big leagues, seemingly established himself. And in some respects, he's been their best offensive player this year.
There you go. That was it. We did it with the Jordan Beck there.
That's pretty good. Yeah. And again, for those of you out there, there was no Ronnie Belliards or Jose Uribes that you didn't know anything about. So that was good.
Doc Gooden.
Yeah, Doc Gooden. Well, people know Doc Gooden. Yeah. But we tend to do this not every time Armando's on, but a lot of times he's nice enough to open a pack with us. So hopefully you enjoyed that. A little bit of fun here. We're still waiting to hit the big one. I'm still waiting for a Wembanyama rookie or something to come out of one of these packs.
It's happening. It's happening soon.
Yeah, that we can call Golden Sports and do an auction and make Armando $50,000. That'd be cool. But fun to do that, Armando. We appreciate it. We also appreciate you coming on every Tuesday at about 12:30 Eastern Standard Time. You referenced your podcast. You're doing that series breakdown, all the divisions with Tyler Beaker. Again, click the Elite Plus tab at the top of the page. You can find this show, Fantasy Sports Daily, and Armando's show, Minder Marsal. What else you got coming out here in short order in the draft guide? We're in football season now at FG.
Yeah, so I have strategy articles coming out next week. We're going to have the 2 quarterback and Superflex strategy article. We have the late round quarterback strategy article, 0 running back, and modified running back strategy article as well. So that will all be part of the strategy series. It's multiple strategies, multiple league formats. I will be handling those. Then shortly after, we got the red zone coming up as usual. We got the new faces in new places. That's a couple of weeks down the road, but these are all things we're already working on, right? We're already working on these articles. That way, when it's due time, they are posted right there. So keep an eye out for that. But we have a ton of content. You mentioned the best ball strategy guide, the dynasty strategy guide, all that launching very soon here as well.
Yeah, my first articles, I think, drop on June 27th. Something like that. I'm halfway through, so I'm ahead of the curve too. I'm halfway. I've got 2 of the 4 articles done. Hopefully, I'll have the rest of them done by the end of the week. We never sleep. I think that's part of the fun at FantasyGuru.com. We never sleep. The largest active community in fantasy sports is with us at FG, so there's always action in the Discord rooms, and people help each other out. People have a good time interacting with one another. It's not just the staff that's answering questions. So Sign up. Click that subscribe tab in the top right corner. Get all the staff's great work. And again, remember, you see Armando every Tuesday here on the show. You see Tyler with us every Thursday. You see Russell Clay every Friday. They're the heartbeat of this thing. So get signed up over at fantasyguru.com. Armando, thanks for your time today. We appreciate you coming on the show. We'll talk to you in a week. Have a good week until then, and we'll talk to you soon.
Yes, thank you so much for having me on.
You got it. He's Armando Marsal. I'm Ray Flowers. Click that subscribe tab in the top right corner at fantasyguru.com and get signed up now so we can help you dominate in 2025. For Armando, I'm Ray. It's been Fantasy Sports Daily, powered by fantasyguru.com. Take care.